Hi everyone, I'm back with another video on Steven Soderbergh. Getting very close to the end of this point. There's only like a couple of videos left to do in the series after this one. This week I'm talking about a couple of Soderbergh's later movies starring Matt Damon. Matt Damon, of course, was a key player in all three Ocean's movies. He had a cameo in J Part 2, the movies I want to talk about are The Informant, which came out in 2009, and Contagion, which of course just came out earlier this year. I think both of these movies are really good, and Matt Damon has a lot more to do in The Informant, though, and I tend to prefer that one. Contagion is a movie that doesn't really have a lot of personality for me. I consider it like Traffic, only less so. It's a good movie, coming from pretty much anyone. Coming from Soderbergh, it's a little bit of a letdown because it isn't as emotionally engaging. A lot of people are like, "Oh, this'll make you afraid to go out and touch doorknobs and stuff like that." I'm like, not really. I mean, I mean, there are movies that make me afraid of being decapitated or shot or burned alive, or encountering my time-traveling double and being vaporized, but yeah, Contagion really didn't scare me all that much. It was a sad movie, and of course there's a large ensemble cast, but Matt Damon is pretty much the main character, more or less. Laurence Fishburne, of course, is a major character, and Jude Law. I like Jude Law a lot in this movie. He's the antagonizing blogger, I guess you could say. Really like the scene in which he is being interviewed on the same news program as Laurence Fishburne, and while he lays into Laurence Fishburne and rips him apart, Laurence Fishburne's taking his time to sort of stammer through his answer, and Jude Law just takes a sip out of his mug, cool as a cucumber. Matt Damon was married to Gwenyth Paltrow until about the first, 10 minutes of the movie, in which point she dies of the virus, and they spend a whole bunch of time trying to figure out how she got it. He is immune, as it turns out. Nice little coincidence there. He happens to be married to the person who brought it to the United States, and he's immune. Yeah, a little narrative convenience there. But he spends most of the movie basically protecting his daughter. His stepson, I think one child came from Gwyneth Paltrow from a previous relationship, and he had, I can't remember if they were both of the kids were both their children, but it seemed to me that one of them wasn't actually his. Anyway, his daughter managed to survive because she was nowhere near any of this when Gwyneth Paltrow came home. So he spends the entire movie basically trying to protect her and keep her from getting sick, because there are millions of people dropping dead all over the world from this thing. It's spread all over the world. And they're trying to find a vaccine, and it's really taking a really long time. They have to go through human trials. Now here's one thing that I wasn't big on in this movie. Jennifer Ehle plays a scientist who is working to develop some kind of vaccine for the virus. And she has some help from other scientists, but at one point she comes across what she thinks may be the thing that will cure humans or vaccinate them against the effects. And Laurence Fishburne, who is the head of the CDC, is like, okay, we have to do animal trials first, and then we can do human trials. He's like, but that's going to take too long. More people are going to die. It's like, we have to do this. This is the correct procedure. Blah blah blah. We have to make sure we're not violating rules or something like that. So what does she do? She takes this vaccine that she has developed, not knowing for sure if it'll work or not, and she injects herself with it, and then she walks out into a whole bunch of sick people just to see if it works or not. That is incredibly irresponsible of her. Now, of course, as it turns out, her version of the vaccine works, and then they start vaccinating everybody. So she's a hero. She's seen as a hero. But what if it didn't work? It's so irresponsible. She's one of the few people that actually is skilled enough to actually develop something good here, and possibly come up with a good way of curing the world population. She is so reckless testing it on herself. Yeah, I wasn't big on that. Like I said, overall I enjoy the movie. It's a decent movie. Pretty no frills. There's not a lot of stylistic quirks. There's a little bit of flashing forward in time, but not much. Mostly they're just trying to piece together how Gwyneth Paltrow got the virus in the first place, figuring out the source, which will help them figure out how to counteract it. But not one of my favorite Soderbergh movies. And I like most of them, so although I like this one, it's a little bit lower on the list. Now, The Informant I like a lot better because it's just a more fun movie. It's based on a true story. There's a nonfiction book called The Informant, A True Story, which tells a story of a guy named Mark Whitaker who worked for a corporation called ADM, a chemical corporation that manufactures a lot of, among other things, corn syrup, which goes in a lot of food products. And he has some problems basically with some of the corn syrup production. You know, there's some sort of virus that's slowing down production. They're losing millions of dollars in various plants, and he's called upon basically because he's a science guy to find the cure, to find the solution to the problem. So what happens is he basically sort of makes up a solution, and he ends up lying to his corporate guys, and he lies to the FBI about all sorts of corporate malfeasance that's going on, and price fixing and all kinds of stuff like that. He just gets in deeper and deeper. Only the thing is, you don't realize that for most of the movie because he's so good at lying and he's so jovial and so like friendly that no one realizes that he's actually a compulsive liar. He's making up so many of the these things that he's talking about. The FBI brings in Scott Bakula and Joel McHale, who are a couple of agents that are working with him to you know, try and get evidence. You know, he's asked to wear a wire. They plant hidden cameras in meetings, but they don't realize just how far Mark Whitaker has led them astray. And the funny thing about this movie is that there's a lot of just sort of ways in which Soderbergh sort of puts you in the spirit of the character, and this sort of devil-may-care kind of guy. Not devil-may-care, but sort of a carefree type of person. Very sort of jovial and upbeat personality. He spends a lot of time in the movie. There's a lot of narration devoted to just him wondering about stuff and, you know, random thoughts off the top of his head. There may be sort of tangentially related to whatever's going on in the scene, but for the most part, not. The music is also sort of upbeat and poppy and fun, and it just sort of contradicts what's actually happening, or sort of goes against it. So yeah, I've only ever seen each of these movies one time. I was rescreening The Informant recently, but yeah, I like this movie a lot better than Contagion for the most part. Contagion's good, Informant's better. It's just a different kind of movie, obviously. So yeah, another two winners from Soderbergh for the most part, and next week I think I'm going to end up doing Haywire and excuse the narration overhead. I'm on a train right now. I'm about to go to the suburbs. Haywire, which is coming out in January, and The Girlfriend Experience, which came out a couple of years ago. Came out in early 2009, actually. And both those films are similar in the fact that Soderbergh decided to cast a couple of women who aren't actually film and television actresses in lead role. One of them is an adult entertainment performer. That's Sasha Grey in The Girlfriend Experience. The other is Gina Carano in Haywire. She is a mixed martial artist. She was on American Gladiators, I think, or one of those television shows in which they basically fight each other. And Soderbergh decided to just use them and build a movie around their, you know, special skills or something like that. Not that The Girlfriend Experience is pornography, but it's sort of tangentially related to that. Anyway, those are the movies I'm going to be talking about next week, so I hope you'll tune in for that. Oh, and don't forget, only 1 week left to enter the contest, which wraps up on the 22nd, if you want to enter. The link for that is below. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.